Hi, my name's Shaun, former British serviceman, a Ukrainian Marine. I don't even know what to call these podcast rant sessions. I have no idea. I only seem to do these when I get pissed off. But today we're going to be looking at the normalization of relationships between the United States of America and, yes, Russia.
Johnny is number 3. Johnny, ебать, пол, да, пена, да.
It's Ukraine's territory. Ukraine should be trying to win it back as far as I'm concerned. As we were aware, the geopolitical landscape is shifting all the time. What we didn't expect was America to really embrace the Russian narrative, which you're hearing more and more of. It's deeply concerning what we're hearing out of the White House, the repetition of the Russian narrative, the appointment of certain people like Tulsi Gabbard in key positions within the government there, who retweet things like from RT, Russia Today, who people who follow me know exactly my feelings for RT. They were complicit in my torture. They were there with video cameras, which I didn't have a choice in basically being there. I was literally, my hood was removed and there was RT, there was Roman Statute. And they were pulled out 3 or 4 times for Russia Today, promoting the false narrative that I was a mercenary terrorist, and also projecting to the domestic audience that indeed they captured a mercenary, when the truth is I never actually left the country. I had legal status in, and I was part of the government, and I'd been living there, paying my taxes in Ukraine. My wife and my family are Ukrainian. So I'm not a big fan, less to say, about RT, but generally it's very concerning when the head of intelligence starts retweeting RT posts. So what we're going to look at today is a little bit of a synopsis on why it's concerning. The Russia has now been today invited to Washington. Ongoing is the fact that Putin is an ICC indicted war criminal for the trafficking of children, the Ukrainian children taken from orphanages within eastern Ukraine, taken from Ukrainian families under deception that they were going to summer camps when actually going through re-education process and Russification camps where they were learning to fight against their countrymen at a later date.
Senator, I don't want to get into the specifics.
Ma'am, were you on? You're not going to be willing to address. So you're not. Are you denying? Matt, will you answer my question, ma'am? You were not TG on this group chat.
I'm not going to get into the specifics.
So you refuse to acknowledge whether you were on this group chat.
Senator, I'm not going to get into the specifics.
Why are you going to get into the specifics? Is it because it's all classified?
Because this is currently under review by the National Security
Because
Council.
it's all classified? If it's not classified, share the text now.
As the White House previously
Is it
stated,
classified or non-classified information on this text?
It's increasingly worrying that people like Kirill Dmitriev, a Russian businessman and head of the Russian Direct Investment Fund, is now had sanctions lifted and has been invited to Washington. I mean, this is just carefully planned. This guy, I believe, was born in Ukraine, who's really has a background from Harvard Business School, who's a billionaire, one of the drivers of international relations in technology and finance. So, Trump's really unlocking these, sanctions for Putin's major financial henchmen. So anything he says about wanting to stop the war because of peace and he wants to be the peacemaker, I can't think of anything that Trump has done that Putin wouldn't have done if he was in the same place. So it's really difficult to swallow this garbage and that we're just hearing out of the White House. The sanctions have just come out today. I've had to change this podcast several times because the news is coming out so fast now of Washington and the Trump administration that really I can't keep up with it. So by the time I think I'll do something tomorrow morning, something else has come out, and even the sanctions have come out today. So Sorry, the tariffs have come out today. So again, Russia has bucked the trend on the tariffs. So the only country that's not on there is Russia. So it's deeply concerning how Trump says one thing to the media, his social media says another, but all the trends are bucking towards Russia. So my Uklon that was going to take me home's just had an accident. Because of all the drones and the bombs have gone off, so I'm now going to wait for a new Uklon. It's been a mental night so far. So
Сейчас я зайду.
the clips you just saw were from Dnipro last week. Extremely intense stuff while I was out for dinner in the city, visiting some friends. They've become worse over several months. I mean, there is no ceasefire. There has not been a ceasefire. There's not been a day where Russia hasn't sent in Shahed drones. So it's difficult to really understand what the US, the Trump administration, is really trying to achieve without having to think that they are playing for the away team. There's too many indicators. I'm not a conspiracy theorist by a long shot, but you've just got to look at the chess pieces that are being moved to work out where his loyalties are. They certainly are in peace. I've said before, I can't see how if Putin was in charge of the United States of America, how he'd do anything different. I mean, it's just concession after concession demanded of Ukraine, no pressure whatsoever being placed onto the Putin regime. The minerals deal has been a rewrite. Ukraine has agreed to the ceasefire where Russia hasn't, and still nothing is now no pressure is put on to Putin. Also now that Russia is actually mobilized one of the largest springtime recruitments in history, 160,000 troops now. It's built up forces around Sumy and Kharkiv, so it looks like there's going to be a spring offensive. So there is no indications from Putin that he wants peace, and his conditions have remained the same for 3 years every year. The annihilation of the Kiev regime, the complete demilitarization of Ukraine. His priorities are that, and he thinks he's winning. So I just don't understand where the Trump administration is going, and it certainly looks like to me, in my opinion, that Putin is a kingmaker.